You've tuned in to the unavailing frequency. But don't touch that dial. We've got you right where we want you.
This is Welcome to Harrow, the town that isn't supposed to exist. Account number 3, the flashing lights. If you're reading these reports and thinking, why would anyone ever stop in that town? And you haven't been paying much attention. First 2 guys stopped because they were tired, confused, or looking for help. But the things in Harrow are learning. They realized that a dark diner, a weird gas station aren't enough to lure everyone in. Some of us see the empty streets and step on the gas. So they figured out how to make a stop. They learned about authority. I'm a junior at UNL down in Lincoln. 2 weeks ago, I was driving back from a weekend trip to Wyoming. It was around 3:30 a.m. I was blasting music, chewing on ice from a gas station cup to stay awake, just trying to burn through the last stretch of I-80. Just like the others had said, it all started with the GPS. The screen flickered, spazzed out into a web of gray static, and then showed my car floating in nothingness. Next came the detour sign, glowing bright orange, forcing all traffic off the highway. So I took the exit and I hit the dirt road. 20 minutes later, the violent shaking of the gravel turned into the silent, buttery smooth glide of perfect asphalt. The crickets outside had stopped chirping. The wind completely died. When I saw the weathered Welcome to Harrow sign bathed in that sickly, bruised yellow light, every instinct in my body screamed at me. I hadn't even read those forum posts yet, but I didn't need to. The town was deeply, fundamentally wrong. It looked like a museum exhibit of a town. I locked my doors, rolled up my windows, and I kept my foot steady on the gas. I was not going to stop. I blew past the gas station and the diner at 60 miles an hour, completely ignoring the 25 mile per hour speed limit signs. I thought I was being smart. I thought I had beat their trap. But then, out of nowhere, the siren started. It didn't wail or fluctuate like a normal police siren. It was a single piercing, unchanging electronic tone. Eeeeee, like a microphone feeding back, but deafeningly loud. My rearview mirror exploded with flashing red and blue lights. A police cruiser had pulled out from a side street and was riding my bumper. At least it looked like a cruiser. In the frantic flashes of light, I could see the paint job was entirely matte black and white. There were no decals, no "to protect and serve," no county crest, just the word "police" printed on the side in massive, plain, white block letters. Panic seized me. I was speeding. I was lost. My brain defaulted to its conditioning. When you see flashing lights, you pull over. I eased onto the shoulder, my tires crunching against the perfect curb. I put the car into park and left the engine running. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I watched the side mirror as the driver door of the cruiser opened. The officer stepped out. The trucker who wrote the second account mentioned how the witness tried to mimic a human head bob when she walked. The cop had clearly been practicing. He walked towards my car, but his head bobbed violently with every step, thrusting forward, jerking back and forth like a pigeon pecking at the ground. It was agonizing to watch. He wore a dark blue uniform. The fabric was completely stiff, creasing like cardboard. The silver badge pinned to his chest was a blank, unengraved shield. He stopped next to my window. The streetlights cast deep shadows over his face. His jaw was clenched so hard his cheeks were trembling, his lips pulled down into a cartoonish, exaggerated scowl of authority. He knocked on my windows. His knuckles didn't make a tapping sound. They hit the glass with a heavy, dense thud, like a brick wrapped in leather. I rolled the window down exactly 2 inches. "Officer?" I squeaked. "Cease your forward momentum," he droned. The voice was identical to what the others described. Flat, synthesized, a hive mind speaking through a meat puppet. I'm sorry, I was just lost. The detour. Present the identifying parchment, he interrupted. His face never relaxed from that focused, trembling scowl. This is to prove your classification. My license? I asked, my hands fumbling for the wallet in the center console. The plastic rectangle of authority, he confirmed. I slid my driver's license through the small crack in the window. He took it with 2 fingers, his skin perfectly smooth, devoid of knuckles, fingernails, or pores. But he didn't even read it. He didn't even look at the front of the card. He just held it up to his ear, as if he were listening to it. After 5 seconds, he lowered it. This is acceptable data, he stated. He didn't give it back, he just dropped it onto the asphalt. Then he leaned closer to the crack in my window. The overpowering smell of ozone, burning plastic wafted into the car, thick and suffocating. You have broken the rule of speed, he said. You must step out of this metal enclosure. You must be processed for the container. The container? No. I'll just pay the ticket, the fine. I stammered, frantically checking my rearview mirror. Just write me a ticket. Step into the air, he commanded. He grabbed the handle of my locked door and pulled. The car shook. He wasn't pulling like a human pulls. There was no leverage, no straining. He just clamped his hand on the plastic handle and moved his arm backwards with unstoppable mechanical force like a hydraulic press. The door frame began to groan. The metal began to buckle. Hey, stop! I screamed. I looked past him across the street. The town had come alive again under the pale yellow lights. About 24 people had gathered out on the sidewalk. They were all wearing normal clothes, flannels, dresses, jeans, but they were all holding perfectly uniform black notebooks. They were watching the cop. Some of them were furiously scribbling in their notebooks. Others were practicing the cop's exaggerated scowl, their faces twitching as they tried to lock their muscles into place. They were taking notes. They were observing how a human submits to authority. Crack! My door handle snapped completely off, flying into the darkness. The cop stood there for a second, looking at the broken plastic in his hand. He seemed confused that the door hadn't opened. That momentary glitch was all I needed. I slammed the gear shift into drive and I stomped on the gas pedal. The tires squealed as the car lurched forward. The cop dropped the handle and lunged. His hand clamped down on the window as I left it exposed, and his grip was like a vice. The car accelerated to 20 miles an hour and he didn't let go. He didn't run alongside the car. He simply locked his legs and let the car drag him. His black boots scraped violently against the asphalt, throwing a massive shower of orange sparks into the air. But he didn't even flinch. His face maintained that horrible, terrifying scowl. Crash! The window shattered under the pressure of his grip. Glass rained down on my lap. He fell away, tumbling into the street as I floored it, pushing the speedometer past 90 miles an hour. I glanced back in my rearview mirror one last time before I hit the curve. The cop was standing perfectly upright in the middle on the road. He had drawn his gun, a solid, molded block of black plastic. He was pointing it at my fleeing car. There was no muzzle flash, there were no bullets, but over the rushing wind pouring through my shattered window, I swear I could hear his flat, synthesized voice echoing down the street. Bang! 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 10 seconds later, the perfect asphalt turned back into dirt. The violent shaking of the country road returned, and my GPS lit up like a Christmas tree. I left my car in Lincoln and took a bus back home to my parents' house for a week. I'm terrified to drive right now. They aren't just observing anymore. They're not just trying to talk to us. They are learning the rules of our society. They're learning what makes us vulnerable, what makes us stop. what makes us obey. If you see a detour on Interstate 80 in the middle of the night, please keep driving, even if you have to sit in traffic for hours. Because if you see those flashing lights in Harrow, you step out of your car for processing, I guarantee you, you'll never get back in.
Cease your forward momentum. Step into the air.